the upcoming season. I want to welcome Augustana into the conference, even though they won't be part of it in regards to the standings this year. They're going to be a great addition to the program, and I know Garrett Raboyan is going to get that team up and running very well. Also like to welcome Luke Strand to the coaching fraternity of the CCHA. We got a lot of great coaches in this conference, and certainly Luke will be another one of those great coaches. And then a change in our program, and I know a lot of teams with the addition of a third assistant coach by the NCAA, we were able to move Dave Sensor from our strength and conditioning coach to a full-time assistant coach. We're excited about that. He brings a wealth of experience. He'll still oversee a lot of our strength and conditioning, but now more importantly, he's going to add some hockey expertise on the ice and in the recruiting process of a lot of the incoming players. We were picked for 7th in the conference. I feel like most teams that were better than where we were selected. I believe that was both in the media poll as well as the coaches poll. But I finished 6th last year, made it to the Final Four in our playoffs, and we return a wealth of talent from last year's team. We're fortunate to have our top line coming back in Antonio Venuto, Stepan Pokorny, and Jason Branchow, and that's a combined 25 goals coming back from them. Freshmen from a year ago that are now sophomores that had a big impact, I thought, and really could take a step forward up front. Tyler Schleppe, Connor McGrath, and Caden Galt. That was a group of 3 that combined for 20 goals. So we return a lot of scoring up front. I look at Schleppe, McGrath, and Galt as players that could take big steps forward. They saw some minutes in the second half, but they saw freshman minutes, I thought, in the first half. And I think with the added responsibility, year of experience, any one of those 3 or all those 3 can emerge as in terms of scoring and being very productive on the board. Caleb Ergang is coming off a season that he had a great freshman year, particularly in the second half, but then his sophomore year last year seemed like one injury after another, but he looks healthy, in great shape, and I would expect him to have a good season. So we've got a lot of different sources of offense from our forwards, as well as we've got a couple of nice newcomers in Luigi Benacasa and Holden Dole. Holden was not slated to come in this year, but with Bradley Merrick signing in August, he was available to come in a year early. Holden, we're lucky that we had that piece in place. And while we'll miss Bradley Merrick, certainly the timing wasn't great for us. We will miss him and his experience. I think Holden's going to be a great player in his own right, albeit not as experienced as what Bradley would have been. And then on defense, we bring back our captain and Brandon McLaren, who will be back for a grad year. Brendan is just a great person, great player, good in the classroom, good in the weight room. And he's a welcome addition back to our D corps, as well as we've got 2 seniors in Ben Schulteis and Drew Cooper. Travis Shout, he's coming off a tremendous freshman year where he was hurt a lot of the year and still played exceedingly well. So, and then we have a grad transfer in Nick Hale, who comes to us from Holy Cross, and he's going to be a nice addition. So we've got a couple of grad defensemen as well as 2 seniors. So we've got some experience back on defense as well as quality players. And then in net, we have experience there as well in Noah Giesbrecht and Logan Stein. They're both returning. I said it a year ago. I'll say it again this year. I think that's probably the best 1-2 punch in the conference, if not in all of college hockey. I think both of them are capable of having outstanding seasons. They'll be competing really hard against one another for playing time in net. I think they both have the ability to play beyond college hockey. They're good size. They've got the NHL bodies, and they've got the athleticism and the technical part of the game down. Obviously, they could all use a little more experience, but we feel like we're in really good hands back in net. If anything, last year our team defense and maybe penalty killing at times let our goaltending down. But I think this year, we'll tighten up in those areas. So I'm very optimistic about the 23-24 campaign for the Bulldog hockey program. And I don't know where we'll finish. I don't think there's a ceiling I want to put on this team, but I'll be surprised if we finish in where we were selected this year.
All right, thanks, Coach. We have some questions lined up for you. First, Trent Singer.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Trent Singer with the Rink Live. You guys won your first round series, beat Bowling Green State to close out the season last year. I mean, as a team, sort of as a coaching staff, how do you sort of build on the way you finished last season, kind of going into this campaign?
Well, thanks for that question, Trent. And yeah, we gained a lot of confidence from that series, and obviously Bowling Green had a terrific team last year. It was two one overtime games, and so we'll take a lot of confidence from that. I felt like as the season went on, we were building and getting better each and every game. Very similar to what maybe Damon said about Lake State too, and that there's a learning curve on winning, and we were coming off a couple very difficult seasons. And I thought getting in games late and learning how to close them out was something that we had to learn. We didn't do a good job of that early on last year. We put ourselves in position to win a lot of games, but it was learning how to finish those games off, how not to panic. And usually it's not a situation where the guys choke. It's just that they want it too bad, and you start doing everybody else's job, and you get out of your game plan. So it was a process of learning to win. We climbed that mountain, I thought, a year ago, and I think we can take a lot of confidence from that series into this year.
Thanks, Coach. Dylan.
Hey, Coach. Dylan Ryder with the Ferris State Torch. Could you expand a little bit on Brendan McLaren's return, what that means not only on the ice, but in the locker room, just having your captain back in his 5th year?
Yeah, well, he's a welcome addition back, and if he had a 6th year, we'd take him back for that year as well. Interesting in his career, he started out as a forward for us, and he was a 3rd, 4th line forward. Really wasn't overly productive offensively. He was solid defensively for us. Obviously, he's always been tremendous off the ice. Would not be captain if he hadn't been. But we converted him back to defense one week. Just we were thin on defense. We had a few injuries. We ended up playing him that weekend. And I remember coming out of that first game saying, you know what, I don't think we'll ever move him back to forward. He's a fairly good skater. He's very strong. He's fairly courageous. And the interesting part about him is his offensive numbers really started to improve when he went back to defense. And I think it's just the nature where the game, when it's in front of him, it's easier for him. And given his background as a forward, he's not afraid to jump into line rushes, but yet he's very conscientious defensively. And I think, I bring that up because I think that leads to his character. Like there's been other players over the years we've asked to look at maybe switching positions, and a lot of them kind of dug their heels in. Basically, his response to me was, Coach, whatever I can do to help this team, I'll do. And that's the kind of attitude, and that rubs off. It's contagious in the locker room and to his teammates.
Tim.
Hi, Coach. Tim Rapley from Flow. And, goal scorers are pretty rare jewels, and you've got a pure scorer in Jason Brancho. Can you talk about what it's like to have such an asset, when you're either down a goal or in a tie game, having a guy who can put the puck in the net like that, as we learned in the Bowling Green series?
Tim, thank you for that question. Yeah, one of the things you're alluding to, he scored an awful big goal for us in overtime on the second game that put us into the semifinals. It's been fun watching Jason's improvement and development over his previous 4 years. I felt like going into last season, we hadn't seen the best Jason Brancho we could see, and some nice discussions we had in the spring the previous year. He was all ears. He changed his game to an extent, and he's a much better player for it right now. And he is a gifted goal scorer. He scored 13 a year ago, and I would not be surprised to see him crack the 20-goal barrier this year. He's on a very good line. I think he'd tell you playing with Stepan Pokorny and Antonio Venuto is a benefit to him. But he, they talk about 200-foot players. Well, he's a 200-foot player. He plays both ends of the rink very well. He could penalty kill for us. If anything, we may want to keep an eye on his minutes so that we don't overplay him. But it's nice to have a player of his ilk come back that you can count on. Should he remain injury free, we could count on him for a number of goals this year. And already, as early as it is in terms of practice and on ice time, he looks outstanding. So very excited to have him back. And again, another grad player that stayed for year 5 that I think he'll benefit greatly from that.